In the quiet, abandoned town of Oakwood, nestled between the hills and surrounded by dense forests, stood an aging relic of the past, the Oakwood Arena. The imposing building, more than a century old, was once a bustling entertainment center that hosted concerts, sporting events, and theatrical performances during its glorious heyday of the 70s and 80s. Time took its toll, however, and since the early 2000s the arena has been abandoned, left to deteriorate in the shadow of its former grandeur. The city, hoping to find a buyer for the massive structure, assigned a lone security guard to keep an eye on it. Henry Thompson, a diligent man with a sense of duty, was assigned to patrol the eerie halls and dimly lit corridors of the 6,000-seat arena. The guard's usual rounds were monotonous and without incident, but on this night an inexplicable sense of unease enveloped him like a shroud. Determined not to let his imagination run wild, Henry shook off the eerie feeling and continued his rounds. The upper floors, mostly empty and burdened with memories of the past, seemed even more eerie today. Nevertheless, he continued to push on, determined to fulfill his duties. Climbing to the top of the catwalk system above the main arena, Henry found himself in an area that hadn't seen human activity in years. The creaking of the wooden catwalk beneath his feet was the only sound that filled the silence of the night. Suddenly there was a loud, disturbing creak in the darkness behind him, as if someone was treading carefully, trying not to be seen. Startled, Henry turned around and found himself face to face with a man whose appearance sent shivers running down his spine. The stranger's mischievous smile hinted at darker intentions, contrasting eerily with the steel pipe he held in his hand. It was a chilling moment. The intruder was caught as he approached Henry from behind. Reacting quickly, Henry drew his gun, ready to defend himself and the arena from any potential threat. However, the intruder did not confront him head-on. Instead, he turned and fled into the dark, labyrinthine depths of the building, disappearing like a ghost. With adrenaline running through his veins, Henry immediately called the police, and soon enough they arrived with a canine unit to track down the intruder. Despite their best efforts, the mystery man remained elusive, leaving no trace. But as the search continued, they stumbled upon something disconcerting: a man's handiwork among dust-covered counters. Whimsical rhymes decorated the surface, evoking memories of the infamous helter-skelter. Disturbing stick figures suspended from hinges created an atmosphere of fear and terror. It was obvious that an intruder was engaged in a dangerous game of hide-and-seek within the walls of the abandoned arena, watching the guards closely without their knowledge. Speculation spread with the speed of wildfire. Perhaps he was a crazed homeless man seeking refuge in the darkness of the building, engaged in a confusing game of psychological torment. As the sun set over Oakwood, whispers of the disturbing incident spread through the city, seeping into the most secret corners of people's minds. From that night on, Oakwood Arena became a place of fear and caution. Few dared to approach its decaying walls, fearing the return of a mysterious intruder. Rumors of strange apparitions and haunting melodies emanating from the abandoned structure added to the anxiety. As the years passed, the abandoned arena stood like a ghost, its dark secrets hidden by time and silence. Henry Thompson continued to watch, chasing away the shadows while the outside world kept moving. But deep down, he knew that the encounter with the mysterious intruder had changed something in him, leaving an indelible mark on his soul. To this day, Oakwood Arena remains closed and forgotten, its past echoing in empty hallways and dilapidated halls. And perhaps somewhere in the shadows, that same intruder roams, waiting for the right moment to haunt the hearts and minds of those who dare to seek the truth behind the most legitimately horrific story Oakwood has ever known. For what purpose this man followed and stalked the guards remains unknown to this day. The passions and motives of the intruder have never been unraveled. The quaint little town of Havenwood was home to a dog daycare center unlike any other. Bark Haven Daycare was known for being cage-free, providing a safe and fun place for furry companions while their owners were away. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the daycare became a quiet sanctuary for the dogs, with just one person watching over them all night. Meet Alex, a diligent and responsible person who once worked nights at Bark Haven. They loved dogs and enjoyed the privacy of the night shift. The daycare had an impressive surveillance system with cameras positioned to monitor the dogs' activities and keep them safe. One night, as the stars twinkled in the sky, Alex slipped into his normal routine. The night was peaceful, with the occasional dog snore echoing in the rooms. The surveillance monitors showed different camera angles, including one overlooking the parking lot. The camera in the parking lot had an intriguing angle, allowing the rear entrance to the building to be seen, though the door itself remained hidden from view. Suddenly, the silence was broken by an unexpected sound, a bell ringing to herald the arrival of a customer. Although this phenomenon was typical during working hours, it rarely happened at midnight. Puzzled, Alex glanced at the monitor and saw a man walking toward the back door. Anxiety gripped Alex as they asked if everything was locked. A second later, the man disappeared from sight and the back door remained closed. Alarmed, Alex rushed to double-check the locks to make sure the daycare center was safe. When they checked the windows, there was no sign of the mysterious man. Determined to figure out what had just happened, Alex carefully reviewed the camera footage. To their bewilderment, they could detect no sign of the man returning or leaving after he approached the back door. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. With a mixture of disbelief and admiration, Alex stopped the recording at the clearest shot of the man. Their hearts twitched as they noticed the uncanny resemblance to themselves. It was as if they were looking at their doppelganger on the screen. Same clothes, shoes, hat, and even similar hair and posture. Alex couldn't make out the man's face clearly, but there was an undeniable resemblance that sent shivers down their spines. Trying to shake off the eerie feeling, Alex convinced himself that it was just a coincidence, a simple play of light. Nevertheless, they couldn't help but wonder where this man had gone and why he had so mysteriously disappeared from the frame. As the nights went on, Alex's mind kept on the mysterious incident. Every time the buzzer rang, they couldn't help but feel a prick of trepidation. Despite their rationality, they couldn't shake the feeling that something strange was going on at the daycare center. One fateful night, while going through a routine inspection, Alex noticed something that made their blood run cold. The parking lot camera captured the faint glimpse of a man again. He seemed to materialize out of the shadows, heading for the back door. This time the footage was clear enough to make out his face, and it was unmistakably Alex's. Dazed and scared, Alex couldn't understand what was going on. Was this a ruse by someone with a striking resemblance, or was there something otherworldly at play? They decided to confide in their coworker and close friend Lily about the strange occurrences. Lily, initially skeptical, was stunned when she saw the footage. Together they spent hours studying the footage looking for answers. As the clock ticked down, they noticed a disturbing pattern. A man who looked like Alex only appeared on certain nights and always around the same time. No one could figure out why this man was almost a copy of Alex and what the point of him coming here was. Every time they decided to chase him down the street, he just wasn't there. He just didn't show up, like he knew they were waiting for him. Alex couldn't sleep well after what had happened. Thoughts of that man were swirling around in his head almost every second. Not only interest reigned in Alex's mind, but also a terrible fear. Who could it be, and what kind of obsessions did he have? Alex, despite his favorite job, decided to quit once and for all. He couldn't stand the strangeness and almost went crazy. He found another job, which was quite a distance from this place. A couple months later, he was asking former coworkers about this man, whether he was still attending this doggy daycare center. To even more fear and surprise, the answer came back negative. Alex began to think that he was the cause of this unknown man. Alex began working as a security guard for an abandoned local hospital, and everything was fine. Until the moment when something happened that he was very much afraid of. He heard a strange sound at the front door, wrapped his mind around the monitor from the camera and saw the same man he had seen at his last job. Alex immediately called the police. In the quaint town of Willowbrook, nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, there stood an old, rundown Catholic elementary school called St. Mary's. With its weathered facade and faded red bricks, the school had a haunting aura that sent shivers down the spines of those who passed by. Few people knew the dark secrets that lay within its walls, but one man was about to uncover the chilling truth. Meet John Parker, a diligent and reliable school inspector known for his efficiency in checking schools during summer breaks. John had been working for the Willowbrook School District for over a decade, and each summer, he was tasked with ensuring that every school was properly alarmed and securely locked down. His list consisted of 15 to 20 schools scattered throughout the town, and he was determined to complete them all in a single evening. so that he could enjoy a well-deserved few days off. One particular school on John's list always gave him the creeps: St. Mary's. The old building had stood the test of time, but there was an eerie silence that surrounded it, almost as if the walls themselves held secrets. The faded sign above the entrance read St. Mary's Catholic Elementary School, and beneath it stood a massive Virgin Mary statue, looking out serenely over the grounds. As John arrived at St. Mary's on a balmy summer evening, the setting sun cast long shadows across the playground, adding to the school's haunting atmosphere. He took a deep breath, knowing that he couldn't let his unease affect his work. He checked the locks on the doors and windows, making sure everything was secure. But there was one room he couldn't bring himself to spend much time in: the room with the Virgin Mary statue. The statue had a serene face, but something about it always made John feel uneasy. He would quickly glance at it while checking the room, ensuring that it was empty and secured, and then move on as swiftly as possible. He never dared to linger, afraid that the lifeless eyes of the statue were watching him back. In what would be John's last year inspecting schools, he decided to confront his fears head-on. He stepped into the room with the Virgin Mary statue, determined to overcome the unease that had haunted him for years. As he stood before the statue, he noticed something odd. The base seemed to be slightly raised, as if there was a hidden compartment beneath it. Curiosity piqued. John carefully examined the statue, noticing that there was a small seam around the base. His heart raced as he gently pried the base open, revealing a hollow interior. The statue was designed to be moved around with ease, but the revelation was only the beginning of the chilling truth. To his horror, John saw two small drill holes in the eyes of the statue. Someone had modified it so that a person could hypothetically hide inside and observe others, without being detected. Goosebumps covered his arms as he realized the potential for someone to use this hiding spot for nefarious purposes. His mind raced with questions: who had done this? How long had it been there? Had anyone been watching him during his previous visits? The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he became. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, John reported his discovery to the school authorities. The local police were brought in to investigate the statue's modifications, and they uncovered a hidden surveillance system inside the hollow statue, complete with cameras and recording equipment. As the investigation unfolded, the authorities learned that the surveillance system had been installed years ago by a disgruntled former school employee who had been dismissed due to misconduct. The ex-employee had harbored a grudge and had been using the hidden cameras to monitor the school's activities, looking for an opportunity to wreak havoc. The shocking revelation sent shockwaves through the town, leaving its residents feeling violated and vulnerable. The incident sparked a series of safety upgrades in schools throughout Willowbrook, ensuring that such a breach of privacy would never happen again. For John, the experience was a wake-up call. Although he had initially planned to retire after completing his final year of inspections, the incident pushed him to reconsider. Realizing the importance of his role in ensuring school safety, he decided to stay on as an advisor, sharing his expertise and ensuring that the schools of Willowbrook would remain secure for generations to come. The legend of the Hollow Virgin of St. Mary's became a cautionary tale that parents shared with their children, reminding them to be vigilant and to report anything suspicious. And so, the town of Willowbrook learned that even in the most innocent of places, darkness could lurk, and it was up to the vigilant and the brave to uncover its secrets and protect their community.